of the show, and we appreciate you joining us as part of your podcast rotations. I am your host, Johnny Stope, and alongside me, as always, he's tired from a big Costco journey and a big Costco trip here on a Monday morning. Robert Munich, how are you? How's the Costco legs?
I survived. I made it through Costco. Oh my God, I hate that place at this time of year. Jesus, it's so busy. Just an absolute nightmare. But happy to be talking Flames hockey with you today, John.
It is December. It is a good month. It's the holiday season. People should be in a good mood. And yes, every shopping center will be packed with loads and loads of people for a while now. So good luck if you're shopping. And thank you for listening to the podcast. Whilst you do so, Robert, the month of November, not a bad month, really, if you are a Calgary Flames fan. Over the last 5 games, they've been on the road. They're 2-1-1 in that 5-game road trip that they're going on right now. In 8 games in 8 cities, the last 8 games in 8 different cities, they are 4-2-1 so far through 7 of them. So it's not playing some bad hockey right now. What'd you make overall here of the Flames last week and over the course of November? Because this has been their best stretch of the season, and it's not even close.
Yeah, through November, I mean, they're above 500, which is actually, I mean, it's pretty good for a team of the talent level of the Calgary Flames. I mean, you take a look at their record, 7-6-2, a .533 win percentage. They're in terms of win percentage, they're 21st in the NHL. They had a better month than Montreal, Toronto, Edmonton, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Winnipeg, Utah. Like they beat out some pretty good teams in the month of November. And I really believe that what we saw from them in November is closer to the team that they actually are compared to October. This is a team that should finish anywhere from 21st to probably 27th, kind of in that range. And like I said, in terms of points percentage, they're tied for 20th this month. So this is closer to the team that the Flames are. I think this is what fans can expect from the team as we head, throughout the rest of the regular season here. And basically, the team is built off of playing good defense, which they've definitely done, and getting good goaltending, which they've gotten. I mean, there's been a couple rough starts for Dustin Wolf, but for the most part, Wolf has been pretty solid. Devin Cooley has been outstanding, and those are the two things that have kind of led them to this 20th place finish in the month of November. And, good on them for playing better hockey, but at the same time, all of a sudden you're getting into that no man's land where you're not good enough to make the playoffs and you're not bad enough to get a high draft pick. So, if you're on Team Tank, this month was a complete disaster. If you're looking for wins, I think you're a little happier with the results. But yeah, I mean, overall, you got to give the team credit. They've worked hard. They played good defense. They got good goaltending. They're doing a lot of good things for, a team of the quality of the Calgary Flames right now.
Yeah, they got off to such a bad start in October that, even this good November still only puts them at 31st. So if you're on Team Tank, there's your silver lining. Like, they've raised their power play percentage by 2.5% since October. Yeah. They are 1.2% out of being a top 10 penalty kill in the league now. They're just at 11th spot right now at an 81.8% penalty kill. So they've raised that number as well. So special teams have come around. The play has come around. The goaltending has come around a little bit. So even if they're not getting the results at the end of the day, Robert, they're now a little bit more exciting to watch, apart from that Carolina game, which was kind of a slog. Oh, they've been actually kind of fun to watch over the last few games. And that's, I think, what a lot of Flame fans are looking for as well. Like, yes, they want this high draft pick. They also want to be entertained every single night. And it's kind of a slog when you get to the games like we saw in Carolina, where it was, everything was hard and seemed tough to get to. But the month of November really showed, I think, what the Flames, like you mentioned there, Robert, actually are. I don't think they're as bad as what they showed in October. I think a lot of things went wrong for them that month. And in November, a lot of those things started turning around. Like you look at Michael Backlund, we'll get into these players specifically, but you look at Michael Backlund and his plus minus skyrocketed over November. Like Coleman turned it around. Rasmus Andersson had probably the best month of any Flame out there. And that's really nice to see that the Flames were able to turn that around in November here. And it really shows how these professionals don't care about the win or don't care about the draft at all. They would rather have all these wins. So
yeah, and like that's their job. That's the player's 100%. Job. It's the coach's job. Like, I always hate that in the media. Like you'll be having this rebuild discussion, and someone in the media will say, "Well, are you going to go into that locker room and tell the players to lose or tell the coach to lose?" Of course not. Like, and that's not what anybody is saying. All people are saying is that if you're management, you got to treat this like it's a rebuild. But if you're the players and coaches, yeah, you're going out there every day to try and win hockey games. Of course you are. I can't stand that.
Yeah, me neither. So last week probably the last 3 weeks, I guess I would say we've had pretty negative shows for good reason with the way the team was going, the Don Maloney interview. So this week on the show, Robert had a really good idea to try to find some positiveness around this Flames team, and I like the direction we're going to go here today, Robert. We're going to jump through the roster a bit here and talk about these players and what we've liked about this play. And people are going to be like, well, what are you talking about, John? These guys are awful. This team's been terrible. There's actually a lot of good silver lining in the Flames organization, player to player wise. For example, let's start off with Rasmus Andersson, Robert, a guy who I thought got off to a tough October, but his November has been excellent. He leads the team in scoring with 3 goals, 11 assists, 14 points. His plus minus is 0, and that might not be a big deal to a lot of people, but go look at last year's numbers. It'll tell you why. He does have 26 penalty minutes, but hey, you know what? That's just kind of style he plays, and he's just really, really well. 4 power play points for him as well, Robert. What'd you make of Rasmus Andersson his month of November and kind of a turnaround for what we saw compared to last year?
Yeah, I mean, we saw him get off to the great start last year, and he basically had that exact same month here in November. Like you said, easily the Flames' best player. I honestly, I don't even think it's all that close. I mean, maybe you could throw Cooley in the mix too, but in terms of skaters, Rasmus Andersson was by far the best skater on the Flames in the month of October. The thing I liked about his game is that I feel like he's getting more aggressive, mainly on the offensive side of the puck. Like you're seeing him join a lot more rushes. You're seeing him, play a lot more in the offensive zone. You're seeing him shoot the puck way more than we're used to seeing, and you love to see it. The one thing that I think you'd like to see cleaned up a little bit is some of the reads and some of the defensive play. But aside from that, I mean, I think he's been awesome. And the best part about it is that you have to imagine that his trade value is going up, as he continues to play this well. Heading into the year, and like you said, like October, I'm with you. I didn't think he was that great in October, and I was starting to get a little bit worried about his trade value. But after what we've seen, I really do think that it's gone back up. I think the Flames are looking at probably a little bit more than like what they got for Noah Hannafin. So there'll be a first-round pick, like another high pick, a second or a third, and a prospect kind of thing. Because when you really think about Rasmus Andersson, like his game does suit the playoffs. Mm-hmm. If you're a team like Dallas, you're a team like Vegas, like he's the kind of guy that you want because he is physical. He blocks a million shots. He's hard to play against. He's an asshole in all the best ways possible, and he could chip in offensively when he's really feeling it. Like that could be a really valuable player for someone in the playoff mix. So I've really liked what I've seen from him. He's completely turned around his game, and good on him. Like that's huge for this Calgary Flames team.
I'm going to remember, too, Rasmus Andersson gets a lot of those tough matchups, right? Ryan Huska really relies on him and Kevin Ball to go up against these tough opponents, these top lines of other teams, and try to shut them down. He plays 24 and a half minutes average ice time in November for Ryan Huska a night, and I think he's earned every minute of that, every second of that. And the way that he's been approaching the game, too, you can tell his interviews in the media are a lot more positive. He's keeping things light this year. He knows the situation that's at hand, but he shows up and he's a professional about it. And I think that's really proven his leadership side a lot, that a lot of people were questioning, myself included, last year. How good of a leader are you actually when you're playing as bad as you were last year? Well, this month he's showing that, hey, I can lead. I can be part of this solution of this organization. I can do a lot of good things. And that as much as a lot of folks might not want to hear it, that's why you're hearing the re-signing conversations again coming up every so often. The Flames might have interest of re-signing this guy, the Don Maloney conversation. And so it's not saying whether I agree with that or not. It's just saying that that's the positiveness that Rasmus Andersson had for the Flames in November. And it's really, really good to see here for Ras, and for his sake as well, right? Because he's up in a contract year. This is exactly what you want to see from a player who's looking for that big payday, Robert, as well from Rasmus.
Yeah.
Andersson.
And he's been a driving force of this Flames team. Like you take a look at his 5-on-5 numbers, the Flames, they've outscored their opposition 15-13 when he's on the ice. You compare that to Mackenzie Weegar, the Flames have been outscored 13-4 with Weegar on the ice. So Andersson's winning his minutes, and him and Kevin Ball essentially are like helping keep this team afloat right now. Like that pairing, they were really good in the month of November. They're probably the biggest reason why the Flames were able to go a little bit above 500 in November. Those two guys were beasts.
Let's move on to the next guy here as well. He hasn't gotten the goals that I think you would want from him. I don't think he's been the finisher that a lot of people have become accustomed to seeing, but that doesn't mean he didn't have a nice November. I'm talking about Nazem Kadri. I think I found he has 12 points in the month of November, 10 assists. I think we found playmaker Nazem Kadri a lot in this month of November, Robert. A lot more ability to create rather than to finish this month. He's had a lot of success on his line. He's still driving force for his team. Of course, this team needs him to produce points. He's almost at 20 minutes a night in November. His shooting percentage is only 3.6, so that is a little bit concerning, but he's still out there every single night being the leader that you want him to be. So what do you make of Nazem Kadri in the month of November in his season thus far? Because that's another name that keeps coming up for trade value as well.
Yeah, I mean, as it should. I think there's so many teams out there that could use a Nazem Kadri, and this month was another good example. Like, I thought that he was putting in really strong efforts, and like you said, in terms of the goal scoring, the bounces weren't necessarily there with only 2 goals in 15 games, but 10 assists, 12 points in 15 games in the month of October for a 35-year-old center who's basically been babysitting Yegor Sharangovich on his line. That's pretty good production for him. I mean, him and Joel Farabee have kind of become a pretty decent combo for the Flames.
Mm-hmm.
Add somebody else other than Sharangovich on that line. I think you're going to see a lot more production from Kadri. Like, I could see him pushing a point per game. But the thing I like is that the drive is there, the work is there. That kind of will to win is there. There's been some pretty, some nice moments of physicality as well. The shots are there. He had 56 shots this month. So there's a lot to like about his game. And I think it's only a matter of time before the shooting percentage gets back to normal and he starts scoring, call it 4 to 6 goals a month kind of thing for this team. I've really liked his game. And once again, this is a guy who's either maintaining or even increasing his trade value a little bit as well.
Yeah, he's leading the team in a lot of categories. You can go through just the stat sheet, but I think what really has impressed me about the November that Kadri has is he's not getting frustrated with not scoring. He's still finding other ways to be a positive leader for this organization, for his line mates, for the young players that are coming through. He's still finding a way to be effective in the game, whether that's drawing penalties. We saw that against Carolina on the weekend. And he's still doing the best that he can to win these faceoffs and help kill off games when the Flames are leading. And so there's a lot of value that Kadri's brought to the table outside of his goal scoring. And I think every player is going to go through a slump when they're a goal scorer. I think that will come around for him because over the course of his career, he's shown that he can rebound quite nicely. So I expect the goals to come for him again. And it's just going to help his trade value. I think what he's showing this month is he's more than just producing points. And I think teams very, very much value that. As much as you want them to be a point producer and a goal scorer, you still need those other tangibles as well. And he fits quite nicely on probably a dozen or more teams that are headed towards the playoff in their playoff chase. So his trade value, I don't think could be any higher right now. And I think he probably is the top center on the market right now if you were to go across the league. So
it's not even close.
To continue to have him produce and be what he's doing is really helping that value out. People are going to talk about Ryan O'Reilly or maybe Braden Shen's out there, but even then, I think Nazem Kadri, with his experience, his leadership, and the way he can produce, I think it makes him the highest on the trade value there. So
yeah, all those guys are Stanley Cup champs. They're all very similar players, but I do think Kadri is the best offensive player out of those three, and I think that's what's going to set him apart. I'd be curious, do you think they're even going to move him? Because
no,
I don't think so either. What would you put the odds at? I'm almost saying it's less than 50-50. I'm almost thinking it's a 40% chance they do, 60 they don't. I get the impression from this organization that, we saw the Don Maloney comments. You need more Nazem Kadris, not less of them, right? So Maloney says it. I was listening to Oilers Now, and Bob Stauffer had Pierre LeBrun on, and LeBrun said that Murray Edwards told Kadri that he doesn't want to trade him. So, you hear stuff like that, and there's been a bunch of reports that they have no interest in moving him whatsoever, even though it's so obvious and logical that they should do this and do it this season. I just have this feeling they're not going to do it.
Yeah, I heard Eric Francis on the Fan 960 talk about this as well, and he's like, I bet you only one of Kadri, Andersson, or Coleman gets traded. He's doubled down on that in a couple other interviews he said. And I quite believe what Pat Steinberg says as well in Flames Talk, where he's talking about how he thinks that a Nazem Kadri trade will have to come from the Nazem Kadri side of things. Will have to come from Kadri wanting to initiate the thing. So I think there's a 0% chance the Flames trade Kadri unless he asks for it. I really do. Unless a team comes knocking with a high-end prospect and a first-round pick and another high-end something else, I don't think the Flames even entertain it. I really don't. And I don't want to come down as the Debbie Downer in the conversation, but we've seen this play out before. The Flames are so slow to react and move guys unless those guys want out. The Lindholms, the Hannafins, even back when they wanted to trade a Ginla, they waited for a Ginla to make the trade. Bouwmeester. It's name after name after name in this organization that they don't trade these guys. They try to hold on to these guys as long as they possibly can. And it doesn't matter where the Flames are in the cycle of winning or rebuilding or whatever else they might be doing. They just tend not to want to move these middle 30, age 30 guys who have produced for them in the past. And so unless Nazem Kadri is the one going to Conroy saying, I'd like to move on to help you guys out, help myself out because I want to win another Stanley Cup, I honestly don't see the Flames trading him. And that's a bit sad on my part because I'd rather it be proactive. And it's not that I don't like Kadri. I just think it like you mentioned, it's a no-brainer. This guy's going to fetch you a first-round draft pick and a good prospect down the line that can help you to rebuild this roster, help you turn this thing over for the new building. So to not trade him, I think it's a detriment to the organization, but that's how they operated.
Yeah, that's exactly how they operate. Yeah, like I put it last week, the players need to save the Flames from themselves, and it's going to have to happen again this year with Nazem Kadri, and it might have to happen with Blake Coleman as well. And
just supposed to say the same thing.
Yeah, it's completely ridiculous. Like, they already have 2 first-round picks. They have 2 third-round picks. Imagine if you can add another first, maybe even add another second. All of a sudden, just think about that stockpile of picks you have and all those assets. Like, number one, you could use them, and the Flames have done a really good job drafting over the last 2 years, so that's an exciting thought. You could use them in trades to potentially bring in a younger player.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many different things you could do with those picks, and they just don't seem to have any interest in it whatsoever, it's totally bizarre. It's backwards, like you said. The Ginla example is literally the perfect one. I don't know like how accurate this is, but I if my memory serves me right, they could have traded Jerome 2 or 3 years before they did. I believe it was to Los Angeles. And the trade package in return was something along the lines of Braden Shen, Wayne Simmons, Colton Tubert, who I think was a first-round pick at the time.
Yeah, it was the Mike Richards trade.
And a first-round pick. The Mike Richards trade.
Essentially what Philly got for Mike Richards would have come to Calgary for Ginla.
Yeah. Instead, they get Ben Hanowski. They get a first-round pick that turns into Morgan Klimchuk.
Love that guy, too.
And who was the other guy? Kenny Agostino.
Stud. Absolute stud.
You go from that you compare that to Braden Shen and Wayne Simmons in a first-round pick, and you're like, why didn't you do it back then? And I guarantee you, if they hold on to Nazem Kadri and they trade him, say, 3 years from now when he's a pending UFA, and you compare what they could have got for Kadri this year to what they'll get, say, in 2028, it's not even going to be close. It's just like it just makes me want to just absolutely beat my brains in thinking about how this team wants to hold on to guys like that. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, Nick, you tie that back to Rasmus Andersson. You're hearing this talk of they might want to re-sign him now again, like the Don Maloney thing. And it's just like, if you're proactive and you trade Rasmus Andersson and Blake Coleman and say one of Farabee or Coleman, you could add a first this year, another first for 2027, and a second-round draft pick somewhere in there for these guys, plus a couple of prospects along the line. And like you mentioned, you could turn all of those around and do something with them, whether that's picking a high-end player at the end of a draft, whether that's packaging a couple of those picks up and moving and bringing in a player that you really like that could be a top 2 center for you down the line. Like, there's a lot of ways to go about it, but the one thing you don't want to do is, and it's, again, not because we don't like these players, Robert, is just hold on to these guys so they're 37 with 1 year to go. No one's trading for that. or no one's going to give you any value for that. What's that going to be? A second round draft pick and maybe a C-level prospect?
Yeah, like in 2029.
Like,
So now you have to wait even longer for that player to develop.
Well, and if it's probably going to be a second round or third round draft pick, like maybe they don't even actually play. We all know how long those guys take if they ever produce, right? Like Jan Kuznetsov was drafted 5 years ago. He's just now starting to get in games for the Flames. Like it takes a long time
for sure.
And then you're just spinning your tires again because by the time those players are ready to go, well, then you're talking about 30-year-old Connor Zary and 34-year-old Morgan Frost, and those players have aged themselves into that conversation, and you spin your wheels over and over again. So I love Nazem Kadri. I like what he's done for the Flames, but I hope the Flames are proactive here, and they should be proactive here for their sake. And it's business, so it's not like you hate this guy, but it's the business side of things. Hey, Nazem, when you signed here, the goal was to get back to the playoffs. The goal was to be a team that goes back to the playoffs, a team that is part of the conversation of being a competitive hockey club. Things have changed since then. We're going to move you along. Where would you like to go? Can we help you get along to where you want to be? Just have the conversations with the guy. It's not going to sour Kadri on the Flames. It's honesty with your employees, and I think that's where the Flames have dropped their ball for years here.
Yeah, and like if the only player that I feel bad for who's either been traded for or signed is Blake Coleman, because at the time Coleman signed, they still had Gaudreau, they still had Tkachuk, they had a really good team, and I think Coleman signed with the Flames for 6 years, thinking that Gaudreau is going to come back. Kachuk's going to come back. Lindholm's going to come back. And he thought that there was a legit window. Yeah, exactly. So he thought there was a legit window to win. But I don't feel bad for Huberdeau. I don't feel bad for Uyghur. I don't feel bad for Kadri, who are all guys who, they've accepted huge paydays from the Calgary Flames. And when you take a look at when they signed with the team that offseason in 2022, you had 7 pending UFAs in 2024. You had a prospect base that was basically non-existent. It was Dustin Wolf and Connor Zary and Matt Coronado pretty much. So you didn't have a prospect base. You had an aging group of players. You had bloated veteran contracts. It was so obvious that at the time that they signed those deals, that the Flames probably had 1 or 2 years to win with this group. And I remember writing about it, Flames Nation. It was one of the first articles I wrote for Flames Nation when I said, the Flames have 2 years to win with this group. And it's exactly what ended up happening. So when I hear people say, I feel bad for Kadri because he came here to win, I'm like, you know what? If Kadri actually did like a deep dive into the Calgary Flames at that time, he would have realized that there was only a 2-year window for this thing to actually happen. So actually, I don't feel bad for them. And I agree with Mike Commodore. Commodore was on Barn Burner. It was either like last week or 2 weeks ago. And he says, I have zero compassion for these players. I'm going to trade them to whoever gives me the best return. I'm not going to work with them. I'm not going to trade them to teams that are on their own trade list. They're not allowed to do that. But, for Kadri, they can trade him to 18 different teams. Mm-hmm. I'm not even working with them. I'm not even going to ask him, hey, where do you want to go? I'm working within his trade protection. Like Mike Commodore says, pack your shit. Like Mike Commodore's just like, he's like, throughout my career, like I got bought out and I got traded and I didn't get re-signed and these teams treated me like shit. And he's like, I got zero compassion for these guys. I'm making moves for the Calgary Flames future, not to protect the feelings of these players. And I could not agree with him more. But the Flames, they're so soft and Nazem, like, we'll only trade you to the one team you want to go to. Don't worry. Screw that. Trade him to one of the 18 teams that's on his no trade list. Like, what are we doing here? I hate that stuff so much.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, these players know what's going on as well, right?
Yeah,
like these players aren't dumb, so they know that side of things, and they know what their contract states, so they shouldn't be surprised either if they're moved. But it really comes down to the Flames have to be proactive here, and that's the side of it. So I'm with Commodore's comments there. But at the same time, Commodore, when have the Flames ever done that? Ever? Even going back to McInnes and Neuendijk and Gary Roberts and Mike Vernon, they traded those guys because of money. It wasn't because they were being proactive. They traded some guys in the 2000s because of they wanted not to be here. So I'm with Commodore, and I like those comments, and I agree with what you said there, Robert. But the Flames have never done that. They're not proactive. And so you got a guy like Blake Coleman sitting here, and let's move on to Blake as well and talk about his November. you got a guy in Blake Coleman who's had a quite a nice November for the Flames. He's been a very good point producer. He's been a very good veteran for this guy. He's been tremendous on the penalty kill for the Flames. He's done a lot of good things. This is the time. This is the type of guy where you go around the league and be like, I've got this guy. Who wants him? And highest bidder. And it's not because you don't like Blake Coleman again. It's more along the lines of we need to capitalize on what Blake Coleman has done for this organization. So we talk all these trades about Rasmus Andersson and trading Nazem Kadri. I think the conversation of Blake Coleman should be one that's very prevalent around social media as well. What do you make of Blake Coleman, his November, and what the Flames do with him on the trade market?
Yeah, and I think it was LeBron again who said that Coleman's generating a ton of interest right now.
As he should.
For sure. He is exactly the type of player that you want, say, on your third line on a contending team. He does everything you want. He can score goals. He's extremely physical. He works his ass off. He plays on the PK. He's great defensively. There's so many things to like about Blake Coleman, and his trade value should be very high. And yeah, once again, he had a very Blake Coleman type of month where he accomplished all those things that I just mentioned, and him and Michael Backlund were, an absolute incredible defensive duo together. Their numbers were stellar. Like, you take a look at 5-on-5, the Flames outscored their opposition 8-4 with Coleman and Backlund on the ice together. And keep in mind, like, they're taking on the most difficult minutes that a forward can take on, and they're winning them. Like they're going up against the best lines in hockey, and they're winning these matchups. Like, it's pretty remarkable. I always hear people say, well, maybe not people, but like I always hear the Flames organization, they think that they can't bottom out because they have good goaltending. They have Dustin Wolf and Cooley. I'm almost thinking to myself, like, you take away Coleman from this team, all of a sudden that defensive matchup, it changes. Maybe the Flames go from winning those matchups to now losing them because you lose a guy like Blake Coleman. I think that's a distinct possibility. I really think he's that valuable to this team. And like you said, if the Flames were in their contention window, obviously you're keeping Coleman. You're keeping him 10 times out of 10. But, they're not even close to winning. So, yes, this is the time to move him. It would suck to see him go because I think he's been...
I love the guy.
Oh, he's awesome. Just like, even like off the ice, you can tell he's just such a good human being too. Yep. And those are the type of people you want on your organization. And they're hard to find, but at the same time, like, if you could get a first rounder for him, like, you have to do that all day long.
The Flames played in Carolina on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, and I'm like, do you know what the Carolina Hurricanes need to help fortify that forward group? Blake Coleman. Like, Blake Coleman fits a lot of teams and a lot of what those teams want to do, and he would help slot those lineups. Like, Dallas is another team that comes to mind where he would help slot that lineup so much better than it currently is, because what he does in Calgary and where he fits in the lineup in Calgary, he lets everyone else fit in around them a little bit better. And you take him away from Michael Backlund, and I don't know if Michael Backlund's all that more effective without Blake Coleman than he is with Blake Coleman. Like, this is just the type of player he is, and he showed it this November, and he's playing upwards of 16 and a half minutes a night for this team. He's killing every penalty possible for this guy. He actually led the team in faceoff percentage. I know he had a lot less draws than Backlund and Kadri, but he's winning 75% of the draws that he's in there. So he's in there. He's contributing in a lot of different ways for this organization. This guy fits. This guy does it all. This guy is a tremendous hockey player, and I would love an entire third line of Blake Coleman's on my team because you win with guys like this. And so I'm with you there, Robert. If the Flames subtract him from their lineup, this lineup gets a lot worse. And that's a big it's a big-time compliment to Blake Coleman and what he brings to this lineup. And I think a guy like Sam Honzik is showing the benefits, or when he was in the lineup, was showing the benefits of playing with a guy like Blake Coleman, a guy to follow, a guy that teach him how to be a pro, a guy to help him along in his NHL career, because he's a valuable piece. And on the open trade market, man, I don't think a first is out of the question, to be honest.
No. And if you're Sam Honzik, like if you're Ryan Huska, you tell Sam Honzik, be exactly like Blake Coleman.
Yeah.
If you could become a Blake Coleman type of player, all of a sudden Sam Honzik goes from looking like a bust to being an extremely effective player for the Calgary Flames. Like, if Honzik could be that 16 to 20 goal guy that plays on the PK and plays, shutdown minutes of 5-on-5, you're thrilled if Hansa can turn into that type of player. So yeah, having a guy like Coleman around, for now, being a bit of a mentor to some of these guys is extremely valuable. But at the same time, his value on the trade market might even be better for the long-term future of this team.
Let's talk about the guy that's always talked with Blake Coleman, because they just seem to go hand in hand right now. Let's talk about Michael Backlund. He's 17 minutes a night. This guy's winning 55% of his faceoffs. In the month of November, he produced 8 points in 15 games. Two of those have been goals. His plus minus is what jumps off the page at me at +7, which is a lot better than what he was in October. What do you make of the captain and what he's done this month? Is this Michael Backlund? Is he back to being Michael Backlund? Is he a product of who he's been playing with? Is he a product of the system maybe a little bit? What did you make of Michael Backlund here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he had a really good month. Like, I don't know, I don't want to call it outstanding, but definitely a great month for Michael Backlund. This is the type of player that we're used to seeing him be. He was over half a point per game this month. Like I said, he's taken on the most difficult matchups. He's part of that, probably the most important forward on the penalty kill that was 7th in the NHL in the month of November. So yeah, I mean, this was an outstanding month for Michael Backlund. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest supporters of Backlund because, he's not your traditional type of hockey captain that drops the gloves and fights and hits and is that emotional vocal leader. He's just not that kind of guy. And I think that rubs people the wrong way. But if you just break down his game this month, yeah, he was really good. And there's no way that you can say that he wasn't. So, if they can keep getting this type of play out of Backlund for, what they hope is the next at least 2 years, then I think you're really happy if you're the Flames.
Hypothetically, if there is a team that comes calling about Michael Backlund, what do you do with him? Are you the type of guy who would capitalize on, say, a team offering you a second round or third round draft pick for Michael Backlund? Or are you the type of guy that wants to keep this guy around, help him be a veteran leader for these kids coming in? Because you do need those veteran leaders on your roster, maybe give them a lesser role like fourth line. Where do you lie on the future of Michael Backlund with the Calgary Flames?
Well, realistically, he's not going anywhere. No. There's no way the Flames are going to do that. So it's almost like a hypothetical conversation that's not even worth having, just because the Flames aren't going to do anything. And when you take a look at his contract here, he's got a full no move clause this year and next year, and then he has a full no move clause up until December 31st of 2027, where
that's
he
turns
into a 10-team no trade list. So he controls his own destiny, basically up until the trade deadline in 2028. So if you're hoping to get something in return for him, don't hold your breath on that one. He is remaining a Calgary Flame, and honestly, I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of him, but throughout this process, you do need veterans around. You don't need as many as the Flames have right now, but like you do need some guys to continue to kind of help out the young guys, and I think Backlund's going to be really good for that. So yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere.
I bring the question up because I've gotten that question myself on social media, because people just don't want him because he's over the age of 30 on the roster. I'm like, this is the kind of guy you put in your bottom six and you help him mentor the Sam Honziks, the Matej Griddens, the Roy Karens, and so on and so forth as they usher in this new era of Flames hockey. This is the kind of guy you want there. He's not your rah-rah captain. He's not Mark Giordano, but he's still a damn good leader, and I think he provides a lot to the Flames. And I think the biggest thing for Michael Backlund is he has the trust of the coach, and the coach trusts him. And that can go a long way in those two getting that message across that the coach wants to convey to these players. And you need that in the room. You do need your rah-rah guys, and I think the Flames have those guys, but you also need your silent leaders. Michael Backlund's the kind of guy who will lead by example, so follow what he does type of guy. A guy who's learned a lot from Michael Backlund in the past. He's now playing with Nazem Kadri, another very good leader for this organization. Had himself, I think, I'm going to call him the second best Flame in this month of November. He did so with a shiner on his eye for a while, played with the bubble for a while. He's got 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points, 15 games. Matt Coronado had quite the turnaround in November compared to October. And I would go as far to say that he he's found his groove here, Robert. What'd you make of Matt Coronato's November?
Yeah, he was awesome. I would argue that his story in the month of November was probably the most positive for the Flames, based off of what we saw in the month of October, which was a guy who was having literally no impact on the game and was ultimately a healthy scratch. To go from that to being one of the most effective players on the team in November was awesome to see. And yeah, it's just he's shooting the puck way more than he was at the beginning of the year. He looks a lot more dangerous. He looks a lot more engaged. I think he's more physical. I think he's more of like a willing combatant in puck battles. There's a lot to like about what Matt Coronado did this month. Yeah, I got nothing but good things to say about him. He actually looked like a $6.5 million player in the month of November, and I think that has to make you feel good. And if you're a Flames fan, this is the Matt Coronado that we can expect to see up until 2020 or 2032 when his contract expires. Like this is the Coronado we can expect to see. I was super impressed with him this month.
Yeah, the goals are just popping in for him now. The shots are flying off his stick. The confidence level of Matt Coronado, I don't think I've ever seen it higher than it is right now, and that's good on him. It shows that when you struggle and you have the messages and you take the step back and you keep going with your process, that it's going to pay off at the end, because that's what we're seeing from Matt Coronado. This guy is all over the ice. He's tenacious. He doesn't stop. He's like an energizer bunny on the ice. He's got a lot more grit in his game now than we saw when he first came into the league. He knows how to control himself out there now and how to approach different situations. This is the Matt Coronado they envisioned when they drafted him late in the first round a few years ago. This is the Matt Coronado that a lot of fans have been waiting to see. And it's just one of those things where you sit back now and you just watch this guy, because you know he's going to be part of the future, a big part of this future. Probably the best right winger we've had on this roster now since like Jerome McGinley, and that's high praise, I know. But right shooting right wingers don't come around this Flames team very often. Matt Coronado is the answer there, and you love to see it.
Yeah, and he had 55 shots, which was second on the team in November. He had 83 shot attempts. 25 of them are from high danger areas on the ice. So that's kind of another indication that he's going to more of the dirty areas. He's getting closer to the net. You know, he's been effective on the power play. He leads the Flames in power play goals this year, which is, you know, something that the team has struggled with. But he's like the one guy that's kind of keeping the power play afloat right now. So yeah, there's lots of good things to say about Matt Coronado. All the stuff that, you know, people were saying, you know, were they premature in signing him to that long-term contract, and should they have bridged him and all that kind of stuff? That kind of stuff can just be thrown in the garbage, because he's been awesome.
And he's got the confidence of the coach now. His time on ice from October to November is almost doubled. That's how effective he's been.
Says it all right there.
And that's when you got the confidence of your head coach, and you're a confident player. Keep going, keep rolling out.
He's on a pretty decent line too. Like I think him and Morgan Frost have shown some pretty good connection.
Agree. Yeah, I agree.
I know Huberdeau, he's struggled quite a bit in November, but I think that trio has actually been a pretty half decent line for the Flames too.
You saw that Frost Coronado connection in the preseason. You think there might be something there.
Yeah,
definitely something there. Another guy who I think has had a lot of confidence boost. Things are finally starting to roll his way. He's shooting 21% now, Robert, in the month of November. Joel Farabee has really found a lifeline here in Calgary. He's really found a groove with 8 points, 15 games, 6 of those being goals. Joel Farabee's really, once he found that scoring touch, his confidence went way up there, and I think he's continually been one of the better Flames this year. He doesn't seem to cheat you on efforts here, and it's nice to see him get rewarded with his points and his assists. What'd you make of Joel Farabee in the month of November? Because we finally got points out of this guy.
You know what? Like, I think that he's basically been the same player that he was in October. It's just the puck has started going into the net for him.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, he picked up 6 goals this month, which leads the Flames. You know, 6 goals in 15 games. That's a 33 goal pace over 82 games, which is awesome. You love to see that from him. Yeah, he just looks a little more confident now the puck's going in. I found last year that it looked like he was miserable out there. Nothing was going in for him. He was really struggling. I think he was fighting through an injury last year. that's all kind of changed this year. He looks like a completely different player, which is great. And once again, we're talking about trade value. Could Joel Farabee be a guy the Flames dangle on the market? He makes $5 million, this year and for the next 2 years beyond this. So that's a pretty tough ask for a competitive team to bring in a guy who's making $5 million to play probably on your third line. That's not an easy ask that the Flames would probably have to eat some salary on a deal like that. But basically, Farabee's gone from a guy that's hurting you to a guy that's helping you. And really, what more could you ask from him? It's both him and Frost have started to really turn things around and be the players that the Flames were expecting that they were going to be when they brought him in last season. So yeah, good on Farabee for kind of turning things around. It's great to see.
Yeah, let's jump into the Morgan Frost conversation too, Robert. Because you mentioned him there, he's got four goals, 3 assists, 7 points, so 1 point less than Joel Farabee. This guy has been counted on to start periods and start overtime, and he's part of the power play. He is a little concerning at a -6 over those 15 games in November, but this is a guy who continually shoots the puck. He's shooting at 12.1%. He's getting 16 minutes of ice time a night. He's winning 56% of his faceoffs, which is the best on the team in the month of November. What do you make of Morgan Frost here? Because I've actually quite liked his game over the last few weeks here.
Yeah, he's been half decent. He kind of looks like a solid third line center in the NHL. He's showing off that skill that he has. He's looking pretty good on the power play. Like, things are starting to click a little bit more, and I think he's part of it. I'm still finding that, you see so much skill from this guy, and you think to yourself, if he could just put it all together, there's no reason for him not to be a 50 to 60 point guy in this league. But it continues to be a lot of flash and not like a ton of substance with him. Like I said, he's been fine. Nothing too crazy, but I think the Flames, I think they're getting what they probably expected what to get from him when they acquired him last year, just in that kind of 40-ish point range, playing the power play, play third line minutes at 5-on-5, and he's kind of doing exactly that. And one other thing that he's really bringing to the table this year, which is important, is his ability to score goals in the shootout. Because this team does not have a ton of talented guys that can score shootout winners, and he's one of the few that consistently can score goals in there. And not having Justin Kirkland anymore, it's definitely been a big help there. So yeah, Frost, yeah, he's been just fine. I'd say he's been good. He's been like kind of what you expect from him.
Yeah, I like it. And you need those players. You need those middle six players that are going to provide you with numbers. People always want to have the counting stats and the statistics and all that. But this is a guy he's not going to cheat you on effort. He's going to go out there and he's going to play hard. And I think what he's found with Matt Coronado on a line, I think 5-on-5, they're good. They're good together. They create together, and you like that. You like that finish as well. So I think he is as advertised, and I think if the Flames get that Morgan Frost for the rest of the year, they could call that a successful year as well. Let's talk about defensemen here. I know you already probably know the answer to this because we do our research here, Robert. But if I were to give you 3 guesses on who led the team in plus minus, I wonder if you would get who led the team in November in plus minus.
Was it Kevin Ball?
It was Kevin Ball.
Oh!
2 goal scoring Kevin Ball. This guy has found another gear, in my opinion. He's playing alongside Rasmus Andersson every night. He has for the last couple of years now. And he's that stay-at-home defenseman, that guy that just positionally sound, active stick. He's his plus 10 leads the team. He's third on the ice in ice time with almost 22 minutes a night for the Flames. What'd you make of Kevin Ball's November? Because when they traded for this guy, people thought this was just a throw-in as part of that trade. No, this guy was the piece in that trade, and he's showing kind of why.
Yeah, I've really liked his game. The Flames, they've outscored their opposition 15-8 at 5-on-5 with him on the ice this year.
That's bananas.
Which is awesome. Fantastic numbers from him. I think he's just been an extension of what he was last year. It was pretty evident against Carolina that this guy, he's got an incredible stick. Like he just breaks up so many plays. Like if you're just to kind of ISO cam Kevin Ball and just watch him, throughout his shifts, what you'll realize is that each shift he makes about 2 or 3 really smart little defensive plays that don't stand out off the page. Like he's not making like these incredible passes. He's not showing off these amazing hands, but the little things that he does is super impressive, and it's massive for this Flames team. The Flames need a couple more Kevin Balls on their roster. They need a couple more guys with size, like a Yan Kuznetsov is a really good example. Guys that have that reach, that can break up plays, that are super smart defensively, that just they shut down plays. There were, like, I was watching Kevin Ball last night against the Hurricanes. There were a bunch of times where he's shutting down cycles where a Hurricane player is going to try to beat him wide and just can't because he's so big and so lengthy. He does that every single night, and I really believe he's probably the most underrated player on the Calgary Flames. I really think he's that good. So yeah, just another great month for Kevin Ball, and I think that contract's looking better and better as the days go by here.
Yeah, there's not much more I can add to that because that's what Kevin Ball is. That's exactly what he does. He brings you every night. He doesn't cheat you on effort. I was surprised that you look at his penalty minutes. He only has 8 penalty minutes in the entire month of November in the condensed schedule through 15 games. That's pretty good for the style of defense that he likes to play with the active stick and position game. So you like what he brings to the table, and I think he's a really good partner for Rasmus Andersson, helping Rasmus Andersson have one of his better months he's had in a while. And that pairing rate gets a lot of tough minutes, and you love it. You love to see it. So, let's talk about the rookie Jan Kuznetsov. You mentioned him there real briefly there. He himself has 3 points in 13 games in the month of November. I would put it out there that he's helped stabilize Mackenzie Weegar a little bit. He's provided a lot more on the table than I think a lot of people thought he could have. And just overall for me, he's a solid player who continues to learn as a rookie in the National Hockey League. What'd you make of his November?
Another great story for the Flames. And
I think top 5 story for the Flames, I think.
Oh, easily, for sure. And the crazy thing is that they kept Daniil Miramanov to start the year over Kuznetsov. They risked this. I don't think people talk about this enough. They risked losing Yan Kuznetsov, who's looking like he could be potentially a top 4 defenseman in the NHL for a long time, to keep Daniil Miramanov.
That makes me sick.
What is this management team doing?
I want to know what that thought process was. I really do.
Just terrible decision making by them. They got so lucky that Kuznetsov cleared. They got lucky that it was Solovyov getting picked and not Kuznetsov. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. So number one, just thank goodness he didn't get picked. He's proving that he can be an NHL player. I really see like kind of a Kevin Ball type of player here, like a guy that can either be like kind of like a number 5 for you or like a number 4 long term. And yeah, he's tall, he's a beast, he's pretty physical. He makes a lot of smart decisions. He's turned into a really solid player for this Flames team, and they are lucky to have him after exposing him on waivers. That's for sure.
No kidding. I'm going to leave 3 guys off this list, Robert, because we'll talk about them because they're bigger conversations. But just generally, Braden Bahal, Joe Hanley, Jake Bean, and those bottom, the 4th line guys, the Beechers, the Hunts, the Kirklands, the Lombergs. Anything stick off the page about those guys, or they're just kind of like they are what they are and they're giving you what they're giving you? Because they've had a lot of guys play in the bottom part of this roster. Rory Cairns got in the game. Ryan Lomberg gets in the game. Drayden Hunt plays on the weekend. Anything in the bottom of that roster that really strikes you or you really want to talk about?
Not the forwards. I mean, Lomberg is what he is. He's kind of giving you cardio right now. Mm-hmm. Not much happens when he's out there. His underlying numbers are the worst on the team. So he's there for vibes. He's a vibes guy. Mm-hmm. Beecher's been not noticeable. I don't think he's been all that great. Klapka's weird. Hey, like in the sense that he'll have a game where he dominates, like he's a physically dominant player on the ice, and then there are other nights you just don't even notice him.
Yep.
Like that Chicago game. I think he had 11 hits that night, and they were massive hits, like just destroying Blackhawk defensemen. And then you see like Klapka against Carolina, where he takes a bad penalty and you don't even notice him outside of that. Like if Klapka could just add more consistency to his game, I think he'd be a really effective player. I will shout out the bottom pairing on defense.
Okay.
I thought Joel Hanley and Braden Pahal in particular had outstanding months of November. I thought they really stabilized that third pairing. You take a look at the underlying numbers, like they literally had some of the best numbers on the entire team. Like you look at the scoring chance percentage, it goes Hanley, Bean, Pahal as the top three players. And then you look at like high danger Corsi 4 percentage. It's Pahal, Bean, and Hanley leading Flames defensemen. Like these guys have just been rock solid. And, like when Hanley's on the ice, the Flames have outscored their opposition 7-5. Same thing with Braden Pahal. So like they're winning their minutes. They're playing well. And yeah, they've been rock solid. Been super impressed with those guys. And that was an issue for the Flames for the month of October. They couldn't find steady D pairings, and that's one of the things that happened in November. They definitely found some good pairings here, which is good to see.
Yeah, they're not sexy names or sexy players on that third pair, but they do the job, right? When you ask someone to play around that 14, 15 minutes of defense a night, you don't expect a whole ton from them. But as you just mentioned with all those numbers there and those statistics there, they're giving you exactly what you want. I think they're a big part of the way the Flames are successful. As for all those fourth line guys, they're fourth line guys. I'm going to be nice there. That's all I'm going to say with them. This next section, we come with these three players from a place of love, Robert. These players, in a month of November where we're trying to find a lot of positives, these were the three that I found that were a lot harder, and you mentioned them as well, a lot harder to find positives with. Guys that you need to have production from, players that you're hoping for more from, and frankly, you're just not getting it. And I hate talking about this next guy in a negative light because I want to be so positive about him, because the Flames, they need a lot from Mackenzie Weegar. He plays 23 minutes a night. He's playing alongside a rookie. He's just not scoring or producing the offense. And when he makes a mistake, it looks like a big mistake. I didn't mind him in November. I hated him in October, but I'm wondering where you are at with Mackenzie Weegar and what you're seeing from number 52.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's just like a time in his career where nothing is going his way. Like whenever I watch Weegar, and especially now paired with Kuznetsov, my eye test tells me that they're playing some pretty good hockey. Like they're a pretty solid pair. Mm-hmm. They're out shooting their opposition by quite a bit. Scoring chance numbers are pretty solid when they're on the ice. Like I take a look at Yan Kuznetsov. The Flames have out high danger chance their opposition 45-36 in November with Kuznetsov on the ice, and similar numbers to Weegar. But then you look at the goals for and goals against. The Flames have been outscored 13-4 with Weegar on the ice. And then you go to and take a look at the plus minus numbers, and Mackenzie Weegar is what, a -9 in 15 games. It's weird. It's just I think like the process is there for Weegar. I'm not seeing as many like egregious mistakes and turnovers like we saw in October. I think he's really kind of calmed down his game, but the results just still aren't there for some reason. And he's taken a million shots. Like the best way I could describe it is he's doing all the right things, and it's just not going his way right now. Like two points in 15 games, despite the fact that he was third in shots on goal for the Flames with 40. Yeah, it's just a weird time in his career right now. It's just every player goes through it where they have those months, or they have, a 30, 40 game stretch where they're playing well, but just things aren't going their way. And I think that's kind of what's happening right now. It's too bad to see.
It is, because he had high hopes coming into this year, right? He had high hopes of maybe the Olympics and leading this team to a playoff spot and that whole conversation there. And it just didn't happen. We talked about it in October on a show where we talked about how he played with everyone under the sun. Like he was a game with Dinero Maramanoff, then he would have Pahal for a couple of games, then Hanley for a few games, and back to Jake Bean. And they finally found him a D partner in Yan Kuznetsov over the last few games here. And I think that's really helped calm his game down. Credit to the rookie for being that steady force that allows maybe Mackenzie to feel a little bit more comfortable. And I like that pairing. I really do. I like what they brought to the Flames. I like what they provide for this team. And I hope that allows Mackenzie Weegar's game to come around a little bit more. And he can find that success. He finally scored on the weekend. And his shooting percentage is now 2.5% over the month of November. And so with 40 shots and you're only scoring one of those shots, it does take a lot out of the guy. So I think a lot of it's mental for him as well. And I hope that maybe he can get a bit of a reset here somehow, some way, and that he can be a little bit better for the Flames. You mentioned those numbers and the statistics that it's right on the edge of being Mackenzie Weegar again. It's just not falling his way. And when everything's going against you, it feels like it kind of snowballs. We saw that with Rasmus Andersson last year, where it snowballed a lot for that him as well. I hope it doesn't get that bad for Mackenzie Weegar, but you do need more out of him if you want to be a successful hockey team and you want to put together some wins. You do need Mackenzie Weegar to be your second or your best defenseman.
You want to hear? You want to hear a wild stat?
I would love a wild stat.
I just pulled this up. This is my first time seeing it, and I can't even believe it. So, without Mackenzie Weegar on the ice at 5-on-5, the Calgary Flames, they've outscored their opposition 36-27, which is outstanding. Like that's high quality hockey.
You'll take that.
With Mackenzie Weegar on the ice at 5-on-5,
I'm not gonna like this, am I?
They've been outscored 26-9.
Oof. Yeah, I don't like that.
Like I don't know how to explain that, because obviously he had a really bad month in October, probably the worst hockey he's played in the NHL.
Uh-huh.
But in November, like we've been saying, like he's been fine. He looks like he's back to normal. But 26-9, like the Flames without Mackenzie Weegar are a legitimate playoff team. And with him on the ice, they're the worst team in the NHL. That's unbelievable. I honestly can't even believe I'm saying that. Heading into this year, the last guy I was worried about was Weegar, and he's the numbers the results just aren't there, unfortunately.
Man, that's crazy. That's an awesome stat. This next guy is more confusing for me than Mackenzie Weegar season has been. You look at his month of November, he has 8 points in 15 games, including 3 of those being goals. He's playing close to 20 minutes a night. He's getting his power play opportunities. His shooting percentage is fine at 12.5%. But the eye test is showing me something different, Robert. I wonder how it is for you as well. The eye test is showing me a struggle bus for Jonathan Huberdeau. And I don't know what to make of what I've seen from him versus what the stats are telling me. So help me clear it up, Robert. How has Huberdeau been? What was his November like for you? Because I think I want more from him.
Oh, absolutely. You want more from him. 100%. This is I will never be able to get over this. How can Jonathan Huberdeau go from being literally a top 5 offensive player in the NHL and you could argue the second best playmaker behind Connor McDavid prior to coming to Calgary? How can you go from that? And you're coming to Calgary in your prime years too. It's not like he's 36 years old coming to Calgary. He's coming to Calgary in his late 20s, in what's supposed to be the best time of his career. And he's just a complete shell of himself. I don't understand what's happened. I don't think we've ever seen a statistical drop off like we've seen from Huberdeau in his time in Florida compared to Calgary. He's on pace for less than 50 points this year. And I believe his lowest point total with the Flames is 52. And in the month of November, he was playing at a 44-point pace. And he's just not all that effective. You're not seeing the elite playmaking ability from him. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when Flames fans will say, if Huberdeau just had somebody to play with and finish his passes, the numbers would be skyrocketing. I completely disagree with that. I'm not seeing elite playmaking from the guy at all. I'm not seeing him being dangerous. He's not shooting the puck as much as he should be, like he was last season. He's just not a very effective player. He's kind of like a second/third line winger. He's like a middle 6 winger right now. And for a guy who is as talented as he is, who's had the amazing career that he's had, it's just kind of mind-boggling that he's at the point that he's at right now. I really don't understand what's happened to this guy. But yes, he's doing some nice things defensively and on the PK. Like, you can talk about that, but in the grand reality, in the grand scheme of things, he needs to produce points. He's not even at a 50-point pace right now. It's bizarre. I have no idea what has happened to this guy. Like what are you seeing from him that's like a reason why he's producing at the rate he is?
Well, last year you saw a lot of people give him credit for driving the net and being in the dirty areas. I'm not seeing that this season for me. I don't see him drive the net as much. I don't see him go to the front of the net and bang in those rebounds. he feels a little more. He's gone back to being a perimeter player like he was when Sutter was the coach of the Flames, where he's trying just to finesse, but then he's not good at that anymore. So I think these 8 points in the month of November in 15 games is actually a bit deceiving of the play of Huberdeau. I wonder how many of those assists are secondary assists. I didn't look that deep into it. He's a player that baffles me because I've never been able to explain, like you just went down there, Robert, how he was, what he should be, what the Flames were thinking they were getting out of this player. And I don't think either you or I were expecting 100+ points out of this guy when he came to Calgary, but you were at least expecting a guy who would produce for you point per game, 90 points. I don't think that was out of the question when we acquired him for for Matthew Tkachuk after Johnny Gaudreau left. And you're just not seeing that from him. So it's kind of like, sure, you got a couple points, but again, tell me what you're doing here. Tell me what exactly you do. And I come from a place of love because everyone knows that I like this guy. I go back and read my tweets when we acquired Jonathan Huberdeau, and you can call me out on everything that I said because I'll stand by it. When we acquired this guy, I was genuinely excited. I loved it. I got a jersey of his hanging on my wall. Thank you, Barn Burner, by the way. And you just thought this guy was going to come in here and he wasn't going to replace what Gaudreau gave you, but he would be a good player that you could build around and help continue push this team. And you thought that they could replicate a little bit of success with the points that he would bring to the table. And you have never, ever seen it. He's had nice stretches. He's had nice months before. He's had a couple of weeks where he looks like that guy again. But you've never seen it consistently week in, week out. And when you suit up for a game, you don't know what you're going to get from Jonathan Huberdeau anymore. You don't know what you're going to see from this guy. And they keep talking about how he's part of this leadership group. Well, are you seeing that leadership? Are you seeing him pull guys along? Are you seeing him be hard to play against? And you just don't have the answer night in and night out for this guy because I don't remember him against Carolina, and that game was less than 24 hours ago. Since we're recording to the game, I don't remember seeing him in that game against Carolina.
He was slow last night.
I don't.
Oh, the skating was brutal.
Same thing against Tampa Bay. You could probably say that for a lot of players against Tampa Bay when they lost that game 5-1. I don't remember seeing him in Tampa Bay. I don't remember. I only listened to the game against the Panthers on the radio. I didn't remember Derek Wills calling his name. But then you go back a few more weeks ago, and you saw this guy on the power play scoring goals and being engaged on the homestand and being part of the success in Buffalo. And it's just so baffling to see that from one week to the next, you're getting much different. It's like there's 4 different Jonathan Huberdeaus, and he picks one out of the closet every week to play as. Just there's not enough consistency for me from this guy, and people are going to be like, well, he does have points, John. That's great, but what else?
No, he doesn't. He's on pace for 45 points this year.
Exactly. He's got 8 points in 15 games. That's just over half a point per game. This guy is a point per game player in his Panthers career. He's over a point per game.
I ran the numbers. So
yeah, let's hear him.
In his final 4 seasons in Florida, this was his 82 game point pace. 92, 93, 90, 118. So when the Flames acquired him, like I agree with you, I was expecting at least, at the very least, a point per game player. But I thought, hey, this guy could be like a 90 to 100 point guy because that's what he's done in his last 4 years in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
92, 93, 90, 118. Those were his point paces. And in Calgary, it's been 55, 52, 62. And this year he's on pace for 45.
It's like 40 points less a year.
You're cutting it in half. It's wild stuff.
And it's just like, you knew that maybe the numbers were going to take a bit of a hit because that's how Sutter's system works. Guys do take hits. But it's like, you're dropping 40 points.
But 40. Like Gaudreau put up 100. Tkachuk put up 100. Lindholm put up 82 under Sutter. There was no excuse there. Like those elite players, they got it done under Sutter. Huberdeau should have as well, and he should under Huska as well. And it's not like he's playing with bad players here. You know, the 1 year he was with Lindholm and Toffoli, you know, he's been with Kadri. Like he's not playing with just like terrible, you know, bums here in Calgary.
Yeah, we just raved about Frost and Coronado, both of us raved about both those guys, and those are his line mates. That's who he's been playing with for the majority of the month of November.
But line mates like that, he should still be able to put up at least in the high 60s or low 70s.
people wanted the Flames to go get Anthony Duclair to help solve Jonathan Huberdeau, right? Because Duclair could skate and score. Well, isn't that Matt Coronado? He can skate. He's got decent boots. He can score. He can finish. He goes to the dirty areas. So why can't he make that work with a guy like a Matt Coronado? Or even when he played with Sharon Govich in that shot, you had guys here that are better than Anthony Duclair that could play with Huberdeau, and he still wasn't producing. At a certain point, it stops being, well, the guy he played with. Because when he played with Sam Bennett and Anthony Duclair in Florida and got over 100 points. Okay, you're playing with Morgan Frost and Matt Coronado. Those players, I would argue, are in the same area. Bennett's raised to another level lately here, of course. But at the time, Sam Bennett is what Morgan Frost is now. A serviceable middle six center who can help you produce points, and that's what he did. And so at a certain point, it's enough is enough, Huberdeau. What are you? And apparently what he is a middle six winger who's going to get you maybe 50 points if he has a good year. And simply, I don't care the system that Huska that has to coach or the defensive structure, any of that kind of crap. I don't care, because you just said it yourself, Robert. Gaudreau had 100 with Sutter. Kachuk had 100 with Sutter as the coach. So it can be done.
Elite players find a way to get the job done,
and I just don't. And that's just not Huberdeau anymore. And that just sucks. What we're getting now is we're paying over $10 million for half a point per game player, and that contract is atrocious.
Yeah, like I saw Elliot Friedman say, Huberdeau's really turned it around, and like I wonder if the Flames, could maybe get something for him one day. I'm like, it's untradeable. I saw a debate. It was a couple weeks ago. Someone had put out the question, would you take a 7th round pick for Huberdeau right now? I'm like, God damn it, yeah, I would. To get underneath of that contract, 10 times out of 10, you take that. He has the worst contract in hockey. If the Flames are ever going to be able to move a guy like Huberdeau, they're going to have to eat probably half of his salary just to move him, and probably not get very much in return. Like, to get a 7th to take the whole contract, hell yeah, I'd want to do that. Come on.
The Coyotes don't exist anymore. Those deals aren't happening anymore. It's just not going to happen. And there's too many years left on it right now. It's too expensive. Like, I know I made a case on a podcast episode earlier in the year that maybe a team like Los Angeles, who was losing Kopitar, they hadn't signed Kempe at that point, you could maybe squint and see a trade like that happening. But the more he plays like this, the less likely of even those outlandish trades that you might come and think of would happen, because no one's trading for a $10 million player who's going to give you a point every 4 games. Just that doesn't benefit your roster, doesn't benefit your team, and it's not benefiting the Flames right now, because you're just not seeing anything from this guy, getting anything from this guy. And I think it's solely square on the guy now. Enough excuses. We're in year 4 or 5 of this experiment. It's up to him now.
Yep. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. They're stuck with him. And you know what? Like, I'll give him credit. His attitude is good. It sounds like everybody in the locker room loves playing with him, and he's been good for the young players, and I respect him for all that kind of stuff. But still, at the same time, you want to see some more from him in terms of on-ice results, for sure.
A $10.5 million vibes guy.
Yep.
Gross. Last forward, because we got to get going here. We're getting up against time already, Robert. We talk too much. Want to talk about Connor Zary before we move on to the goaltending really, really quickly. Frankly, this is a guy who has not been good enough for the Flames. I'm going to go, I know we're talking about the month of November, but 25 games played this year, a grand total of 4 points. It's just not good enough. What is Connor Zary? What do you do with Connor Zary? What do you make of Connor Zary? Because this is a guy that I had a lot of hopes for. People know me or talk to me. They know how much I built this guy up. And I'm extremely disappointed talking to him about him in this way. It just simply put, Connor Zary, you're just not good enough.
I don't know what's happened. I really don't. I think heading into the year, Flames fans were hoping for at least like a half a point per game guy. And I don't think that was an unrealistic expectation based off of his first 2 years in the league. And yeah, he hasn't been able to put it together. And we're seeing more flashes recently of the player that we saw the first 2 years. Like, anytime he does something positive, I try to clip it and post it onto Twitter. And, he's been dangling a little bit more. He's been getting more scoring chances, but he's not able to bury. And the skating is still a big issue for me. That was one of the things I worried about heading into the year. Like, coming off a knee injury, he already wasn't a very good skater as it is. And, it looks like he's gotten slower in a league that continues to get faster. So if I were Zary, I would get on the phone with Danielle Fujita, the Flames skating coach, and I would work with her as much as humanly possible between now and the start of next season and try to become a faster player. I think that's kind of the root of all of his struggles right now is the skating and the speed. It's obvious he has the hands, he's got the brain. I just think he needs to work on that skating and work on his shot, and I think he can be an effective NHL player. But if he doesn't do those things, if he just kind of stays the same as he is now, I think he's in trouble, and I don't know if he's going to be an NHLer. So it's been tough, man. It's been hard to watch because I'm with you. I like the guy a lot. I think he's an awesome dude, and there's a future there for him if he wants it. He's got to work on it and take it.
I think the biggest thing for me outside of what you just said there, Robert, is the engagement, because his numbers say that much. So 25 games, 18 hits, only 7 blocks. He's got 10 penalty minutes. His shooting percentage is only 6%. He's -3. So even his counting stats are they're all low numbers. You would think a guy like Connor Zary would have more than 18 hits in 25 games. A guy that the way that he played at the beginning of last year would definitely have more than 7 block shots in those games. He only has 10 penalty minutes. He's just not engaged for me. Not saying that he needs to have 45 penalty minutes, but where's the engagement level? Where is that rough side of Connor Zary gone? Where is I'm going to go to the corner and I'm just going to outwork you, Connor Zary gone? And that's what's missing for me from a lot of what I've watched of this guy. It's almost like he's playing scared of getting injured again, which is going to get him injured again if he's not careful enough here. Go play your game. We know what you can do. The scratches earlier in the year were message sending. Take that message on and start playing better. I don't think that him playing on fourth line center was helping his game very much, but at the same time, you were given an opportunity alongside Nazem Kadri for a while. Go play. Take advantage of those opportunities. You have an opportunity right now because of the Sam Honzik injury to play with Backlund and Coleman. You should be an incredible hockey player right now, incredibly engaged, and your numbers will follow suit if you can take advantage of the situation. So it's a lot of it is on him, if not all of it is on him to prove that he is an NHL hockey player because he has the opportunity right now. Because there's guys nipping. There's guys nipping to come up from the Wranglers and play for this Calgary Flames organization. The Flames have shown that their willingness to call people up is there this season and to see what players can bring to the lineup. So if he's not careful, he'll get past here. There are guys in the American Hockey League that play his style of game. Andrew Basher comes to mind that will take that job if he's not careful in a couple of years or in a year or next year, whatever it might be. So you've got to be careful, and it's got to start now. The Flames need him to be a producer, and he needs to start now because the opportunity is in front of him right now.
This kind of says it all to me right here. Someone that NHL Edge, which is like their puck tracking stats and their skating stats. So they have 20 to 22 mile per hour speed bursts. The average NHLer up to this point in the season has had 27 of them. Zary's had 6. And that puts him kind of near the bottom percentile in the NHL in that regard. So I mean that kind of says it all for me in terms of the skating. And yeah, the crappy thing is like last year from October to December, I wrote an article saying they got to sign this guy long term because he was so effective, and had he not been so snake bitten, it looked like he could have been on pace to be like a 55, 60 point player in his second year in the NHL. And ever since that injury in Anaheim, it just, for some reason, it's gone. And hopefully he can find it again because he should be an important part of the future of this team. But if he continues to play like this, then like I said, he won't be an NHLer in a few years.
It's a tough reality for Connor Zary. Before we wrap up here, Robert, we'll get in these goaltending conversations. This is a conversation that's been had everywhere. Every podcast does it. Every radio show does it. They're talking about how good Kevin Cooley has been, how Devin Cooley. Can't even speak.
Old Kevin Cooley.
Yeah. A little DC action for you. He's been really, really good in his He's appeared in 7 games this month for the Flames. He's got really good numbers, a .934 save percentage. Dustin Wolf has played in 10 games. He started 10. He's been pulled, but he also has a shutout, a little bit more of an up and down month for him. He's only sporting an .894 save percentage. Obviously, those don't always give you the full picture, but just as baseline stats. What have you made of the goaltending overall? Because I think Wolf's he's been better this month, getting better this month, but Devin Cooley has been absolutely rock solid.
Yeah, I said on Afterburner the other night that the way you could describe Dustin Wolf's season has just been a roller coaster, and it's just been the highs have been very high. You know, like you said, letting in 0, 1, or 2 goals kind of thing, giving his team a chance to win. And the lows have been incredibly low, where he's getting pulled, he's getting beat over his shoulder consistently. There really hasn't been that in between like we saw last year. Basically, last season, Dustin Wolf was guaranteed to let in anywhere from 1, 2, or 3 goals. It wasn't going to be anything more than that, or he'd even get a shutout. And this year, it's like, well, he'll let in 1 or he'll let in 5. And just that middle ground isn't there anymore for him, at least to the start of this season. By no means is there a goalie controversy. Dustin Wolf is obviously still the guy for the future. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. And when it comes to Cooley, I mean, guy's been incredible. He's been awesome, and he's got these awesome post-game interviews. He's got this incredible personality, this bubbly, happy personality that so many other guys in the NHL should take note of. He's just such a fun dude to watch and to listen to him speak and even play the game. Like he's very dynamic for a bigger goalie. He's extremely athletic. I've been thoroughly impressed with him, and I just like to say, both you and I, we're Devin Cooley guys. We've been in this guy's corner dating back to training camp in 2024. I think both you and I saw this type of thing happening. Maybe not quite to this extent, but I think both you and I thought Cooley was going to be an NHLer, and yeah, he's more than that right now. He's literally been one of the best goalies in the league. It's really cool to see.
He essentially got a shutout on Sunday against Carolina, like a late overtime goal from Carolina ends that hockey game. He was sensational. He was the reason the Flames got that point, I think, in an otherwise flat game from the Flames. And we've seen that more than once this season where he's come in and he's given them a chance to win hockey games, to be in hockey games. He's come in relief in a couple of games of Dustin Wolf, and he's just been solid enough to calm the Flames down and give them an opportunity to maybe get back in hockey games. And it's been nice to see. It's been nice to see Cooley rebound nicely. It's been nice to see him get an opportunity. And it's nice that the Flames are giving him starts and kind of trying to capitalize on what he's provided as a backup goaltender for this team. Dustin Wolf is the starter. He'll get the majority of the starts this year. He is the future of this organization. But when you have a back rolling like Cooley is, why not use him, right? Until your starter can maybe get a little bit more on track. And as for Dustin Wolf, I think his season has been exactly how the Flames are, right? One night the Flames look really, really good. And then the next night they roll into Tampa Bay and get absolutely blown out of the building. So when you have a team going up and down, your starting goaltender is probably going to go up and down a little bit. And I think both play blame in the numbers at the end of the day. And that'll correct itself. I'm sure it will. Dustin Wolf's too good of a goaltender to have a tumultuous season derail him for the whole year. Let him rebound a little bit. We got a big month of December. They got a big break coming up for the Olympics in February. So there's a lot of runway here for Dustin Wolf to get back on track and to play here. And the Flames, they got to play better in front of Dustin Wolf as well. Like even if he allows 2 quick ones like he did in Tampa Bay, the team in front of him seemed to collapse, and it quickly became 4-0 Tampa Bay, and they ran away with that game. Or that game against Chicago, where Chicago kind of ran away and hit in that hockey game as well. Try to help your goaltender out a little bit more and help him gain that confidence, because I think it might just be a little bit of a confidence issue for Dustin Wolf, but I think he'll be fine at the end of the day. And I don't think Mr. Cooley knows how to not have confidence. That guy seems to be borderline cocky, but he's good at it, right? That smile is infectious as well for him. He's a good teammate. So I like the goaltending overall. I think they had a fine month of November as the Flames rebounded a little bit here. And I think the Flames give themselves an opportunity here in December to get off on the right foot. They got some big games coming up, some nice Western Conference matchups coming up, and teams that are ahead of them here in the standings coming up. That they, if they want to be back in this playoff picture, like Don Maloney keeps saying they want to be, here's your opportunity because you got games in front of you to get off and to ride a hotter November into maybe even a hotter December here. So we'll see how the Flames roll in December.
The only guy we didn't touch on was Yegor Sharangovich. We skipped over him, and probably for good reason. The only thing I'll say is that he has been awful. And between his contract and Huberdeau's, that's over $16 million on two guys that aren't doing a whole heck of a lot right now. That's a little scary for this Flames team.
I honestly skipped Sharangovich because I forgot about Sharangovich. I think that might speak to how his season has been. Not great.
No.
He's earned those scratches, and I think it might be time for him maybe to sit down a couple of more or put down the lineup a little bit more. Like, I don't know what he's providing to this lineup, but at the same time, who takes that spot, and that conversation starts up again. So it would bode for both him and the Flames to just maybe engage in a hockey game once in a while and help yourself out here. Good catch by you, Robert, because that's my bad for just skipping over number 7.
No, it was a good call by you.
Anything else you want to bring up on the show this week? We've gone over an hour and 15 here. We've talked about a lot of things here, a lot of guys. Anything we missed that you wanted to key on the show this week, Robert?
No. We'll dive more into the management extensions in the next episode. But yeah, aside from that, no, we literally covered the entire team here. So yeah, that was a pretty comprehensive episode.
Yeah, that was good. Robert had a really good idea, and we jumped all over it, and it was nice to talk about these players. Hopefully a few of them pick their socks up, and we get the Flames management making some good decisions here and help this roster out down the future here as the Flames continue to try to push and be just be a competitive, fun team to watch. That's all I ask. Robert, what is coming up from you on flamesnation.ca?
No articles coming just yet. I'll probably think
what
of
a slacker.
I know, right? I'll probably think of something to write about here over the next few days here, but I might just kind of write about how this, like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this is kind of like the Flames team that we can expect to see probably for the rest of the season here. I think this is more of the group that they truly are than what they were in October. So yeah, maybe I'll throw something together like that.
Yeah. All right. You can find him, Ring of Fire CGY, across your social media, especially there on X. He does a really good job of game clips. And I'm Vintage Johnny 84 as well on social media. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Red Mile Rundown on all your social media and podcasting platforms. We will see you next week. Enjoy the hockey this week as the Flames finish off a road trip and get back home for some home cooking as well. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the hockey. We'll see you next time.